It's not going to impact all. It's going to depend on the trading strategy, really, because if you're private equity, you probably are holding things 3 years anyway. So they are not going to be really affected by this. And if you're a trader, meaning you're turning your portfolio over once maybe every day, but probably every couple months, you're probably not going to have much long-term capital gains anyway. So you're going to have a lot of short-term capital gains anyway. So it's not going to probably affect those as much, but it is going to affect the so-called investor funds, the guys that hold things for a year or a year and a half or 2 years before they sell them. So there's going to be new conflicts of interest between the general partner and the investors, because the investors are still going to get long-term capital gain treatment if something's held 1 year or more than 1 year. Whereas, hey, if the GP has to hold it for 3 years, so if you're 2.5 years in, do you want to sell it? Do you not want to sell it? That sort of thing. There's going to be some conflicts there. Another thing that's going to be affected is if you're an investor fund, the management fees, the percentage of net assets under management, those are now going to be those have always been classified as miscellaneous itemized deductions. So those miscellaneous itemized deductions are now lost under the new at the individual level. So now you're basically those investors lost the deduction to pay for the management fees as well. So I think that possibly what will happen is that there'll be less management fee and more incentive going forward, and the carry, they will just be treated for those investor funds. They'll just ask for a higher percentage to make up for the windfall or the change, and not worry so much about the holding it for 3 years. And and there's some questions also, ambiguities in the law. It's written right now under the carried interest. What happened to all the unrealized at 12/31/2017? Is that now going to have to be held for 3 years? Some people are saying yes, because how do you distinguish between what the unrealized was at 12/31/17 versus what was going forward if you didn't somehow crystallize it, if you didn't somehow pull it out of the general partner interest in the fund and move it to a limited partnership interest? So that's one thing that's been discussed and that's out there. But yes, I think that by having that 3 years, you're definitely you're making it less lucrative to be a partner in these, to be offered, hey, I want to go into the fund and I want to get a cut of the carry. Well, now if the carry is going to be taxed at ordinary rates anyway, maybe you just want to get a bigger W-2 and get paid today, and that deduction gets taken today by the existing partners, and then you don't have to worry about is it going to be held 3 years? Is it not going to be held 3 years? Especially if there's vesting involved, where they want to incentivize you to stay with the fund for 3 or 4 years. So they say, oh, you only earn 25% each year, if that's like some sort of serial vesting, or it's cliff vesting where, hey, only after 4 years is it really your money. Well, in order to, how the tax law was is, hey, you have to start picking up that income today as a partner and off of K1 and start paying tax on it. Well, if all of a sudden you're paying tax at ordinary rates for 3 years and then you lose it, that's a bigger impact. So it's definitely going to change the cachet, I guess, of being a partner in a carry vehicle for an investor fund, because it's going to be less lucrative, less tax efficient. And there's always there's always kind of an impact when people become partners in a carry vehicle, because all of a sudden now if you weren't a partner before, you all of a sudden have to start paying estimated tax payments. You have to maybe file in multiple states if there's multiple states doing operations out of those, where in the past maybe you just said, I live in New York City, I pay my New York taxes. Well, now I have to pay in Connecticut, now I have to pay in Massachusetts, I have to pay quarterly taxes. Now I'm subject to self-employment tax. There's also, and under the new partnership audit rules, you're admitted to a new partnership. Well, if there was something that happened 2 years before you were in there and they got audited this year, depending on what the partnership agreement is, you may end up having to pay a portion of your profit today to help pay for that error that was made, and later on only get the deduction when you leave the partnership, because your tax basis is lower. So these are all things to keep in mind when you think about wanting to become a member of the carry vehicle.